Hello and welcome to ADHD Support Talk Radio. My name is Tara McGillicuddy and I am the host of ADHD Support Talk Radio. I'm also an adult ADD and ADHD productivity coach, and I am the founder and director of ADDclasses.com. And at ADDclasses.com, we provide virtual support and education to people affected by ADD and ADHD. We offer free webinars. We have an extensive audio library with more than 175 hours of courses, and we also offer more in-depth support programs. So you can learn more about ADDclasses.com and sign up for a free webinar at ADDclasses.com. And with that, I would like to welcome back Melissa Orlov to ADHD Support Talk Radio. In just a moment, we're going to be having a discussion about being organized at work and ADHD. But before we get started talking, Melissa, can you let our listeners know a bit about yourself and how they get in touch with you after the show?
Absolutely. And Tara, I'm always delighted to talk with you. I am a marriage consultant, so I work with couples who are impacted by ADHD. I've also written 2 award-winning books on that topic. The first one was The ADHD Effect on Marriage, and the second was The Couple's Guide to Thriving with ADHD. And I spend a lot of time helping couples through counseling and also a very intensive 8-week phone seminar that I give for couples from all over the world, helping them re-engage with each other and move from struggling, which most of them are when they find me, to being happy together again.
Okay, great. And what is your website address?
Details, right? It's at www.adhdmarriage.com.
Definitely check out Melissa's stuff. She has some great resources. So you and I were going back and forth a little bit today about what to talk about on today's show, and you came up with the idea of organization at work. And, it's a little bit different than what you usually talk about, but we talked about how it makes so much sense to discuss organization and work because they both affect relationships and marriages. So where would you like to begin, Melissa?
Well, I got into this topic. The reason we brought it up was because I'm actually working with somebody specifically on this issue. And the reason that we're working on it right now is in the counseling that we were doing together, it was very clear that one of the things he needed was more time with his partner. And he wasn't getting it because he was less efficient than he wanted to be at work. So he was spending more hours working than he wanted. He was always feeling kind of frazzled because he was often sort of behind schedule. And also, quite frankly, he needed to be more organized to help ensure that he would continue to be employed. So all sorts of good reasons to work on being more organized at work that directly impact relationships.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what are some of the things that come into play when it comes to lack of organization at work and spending so much time at work?
Well, so one of the issues is sort of the getting from point A to point B issue, which can be hard. ADD is often about the journey rather than the direct line between 2 points. And the problem is in the workplace, that can be a problem. If you're just responding to things in the present moment, if you're just in the now and not really thinking about where you're going, you can be pretty inefficient in the workplace. So one of the things that has helped this person that I'm working with a lot, actually, is to start to think at the beginning of every day now, he is defining what his day's project is going to be. And he's not used to thinking about his work that way. Is my product at the end of the day, is that going to be a report, or is that going to be some research that I'm doing, or a paper that I'm writing? What is the product that I want to have finished by the end of the day? And then he takes a couple more minutes to think about what are the elements of that product. So sometimes if he's got a really big project, the product is a portion of that project, and sometimes it's a whole thing. But it makes things, it's easy to get overwhelmed if you have a brain that's very active and lots of stuff is coming at it. It's easy to sort of get caught up in whatever feels very urgent. This way, if you think about what's my product that I need to deliver, it can help keep you very focused, which is great.
Yeah, having something concrete, and I like how you talked about a product, it might be part of the bigger project, because when we do sit down and we have a big project, it can be very overwhelming, and sometimes we'll do something that's not related to that because we're so overwhelmed. So, yeah, I'm thinking that could make a world of difference to have that product in mind.
Right, right. And one of the things that also happens is that, like a lot of people with ADHD, this person thinks very optimistically. He's not great at thinking about how long it's going to take him to do something. And so he's been tracking, actually. So if he has, if he says at the end of the day, I have to have XYZ product, he knows, okay, I've just spent 6 hours on this, and did I make it or not? And he's starting to learn over time, well, if I actually need to create a report or I have to create a presentation or whatever, it's likely to take me approximately this much time. So he's learning as he goes how to not let his sort of natural optimism interfere with his ability to promise more accurately what he can and can't do, which is another way to get him home, right?
Yeah,
he's more accurate about what he's planning out. So breaking it down can help that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
a project you think takes 3 hours and might take 6 hours, so that's really important to have a better understanding about how much time things actually take you.
Right, right. And he's actually, at the beginning of this process, he's creating a log where he says, this project, here's how much I estimate it's going to take, and then how much it actually took. And from that, he will learn whether that's a consistent misestimation or, how does he make it more accurate.
A good one. So what else have you been working on?
Well, so another issue for a lot of people with ADHD has to do with transitions. And again, thinking about work and home life, one of the major transitions is away from work and getting back into home life and transitioning into having an evening with your partner and being able to get away from work. And again, being more efficient can help with that. But another thing to think about is if it's very difficult for you to transition, then blocking your schedule out in a way so that you have fewer transitions, it decreases the chances that you'll be distracted by something different or get off task. And it also just simply makes you more efficient because transitions take time, and usually more time than people realize they take. And so just thinking about the transitions and organizing yourself so you have fewer of them is another way to be more efficient at work when you have ADHD.
Yeah, and that's one I'm sure a lot of people don't even think about or they're not mindful of when it comes to organization, is those transitions really can challenge people. And I know that's something I've worked on a lot with clients, and I'll be open. I don't, do full transitions myself. And yeah, anytime you make a change, you have so many different things coming at you, and it's hard to get back or get into a new event or a new project. Right,
exactly. Well, he's had some other interesting challenges as well. One of the things that he's sort of figured out will help him has to do with tracking data, which is not related to transitions specifically, but he does a lot of research online. A lot of people do. For their jobs, and then trying to figure out where that was, if you have to go back and reference it or you didn't quite get the right piece of data that you needed or whatever, can be really time-consuming. And so we've created a system where for a specific project, he has like a Word document that he has open where he puts where the URLs and the links are and the different data notes and things that he has for that project. He has another document open, which is a sort of a universal link, so things that he uses over and over and over again. If you have to grab government data from the EPA or something like that, the most used links. And then he has one for personal stuff, something that's of interest or captures his interest. In order to help him keep from getting distracted, he knows if he captures it and he can go back to it later, that encourages him not to get off track, which is a efficiency tool for him. So that creating of documents to essentially leave breadcrumbs, if you want to think of it that way, for where he's been is very useful for, again, being more efficient, because you can spend hours looking up something that is in your report but not complete, and you got to go back and find it again, and it's sort of all over the place if you're not careful.
Yeah, and that only takes like moments to create a document and have a space to put things, because that can really throw people off, not remembering where they save things, or just giving the file some name that has nothing to do with the project. So giving it a great name, or an easy name to remember. Yeah, I mean, you could probably spend hours trying to find that one website that was great that you looked at 3 weeks ago. So,
right.
I mean, and it's a moment. Like, it probably takes minutes, not even minutes, to create a brand new file and to save it. So that can make a world of difference.
Right. It's a sort of taking Pinterest and adding it to your work, but it's not Pinterest. But, you know, some people, you do things that are URLs also, like if you're looking up a series of photos or something like that, it's like the board that you put things on. That's all it is. But to be able to separate out the ones that are universal from the ones that are project-oriented is a big deal, because otherwise you have a lot of clutter. Project-oriented ones are one-time use, essentially, and when you're done with that project, you put it away where you know where it is, but you don't have it open, whereas the universal stuff you still want to have open.
Right. And so, I mean, these things they seem, I don't want to say easy to do, but they're simple changes to make that I'm sure, you know, are going to help him get home earlier and have a better relationship with his wife and be happier. Right,
exactly. Well, I mean, this is the thing. If you make it really complicated, then it becomes hard. I mean, I'll give you another example extending on this idea of creating these breadcrumbs. The instinct is to say, okay, well, gee, I had 300 bookmarks, and those are breadcrumbs, so I should take those and put those into this new system. And I said, no, don't do that, because every single one of those is a decision you have to make. It's very inefficient. Just know where they are, put them all in one place, and then as you are going through your next projects, pick if you need to find the EPA address or whatever, and you look in your bookmarks, okay, there it is, great, pull it, if you got it, and you put it on your universal list. That way, you're not making 300 decisions. You're only pulling out the 10% of that stuff that you actually need, and the rest of it is just going to sit there. It's like a junk pile or something like that, and you didn't need it anyway. So, again, trying to make it as simple as possible. Don't retrofit your old information to a new system. Just create the new system, and then as you use it, pull into that new system the stuff that you would use in your everyday life and that you need, and it will become complete and full very quickly. Yeah. We don't need any more digital clutter. We have enough of it. Exactly. Yeah. These are great examples. Is there anything else that you'd like to share today when it comes to organization at work? Well, so one of the things that I think most people, myself included, can benefit from is there's a lot of stuff that intrudes in our workday and in our personal lives. There are just little tiny details, but are things that you definitely want to pursue and that you sort of drop all the time. That can be everything from the not such small details of, when to pay your estimated taxes or things like that, but there's a system that a lot of people know about. It's all over the web, called a bullet journal, and it can be used very effectively to track these little things. So I've started to use one for weekly reminders, weekly and monthly, for myself, and I love it. Actually, I wrote a blog post about it because my daughter, who has ADHD, is the one who introduced me to it. And for her, it takes all of this stuff that's sort of flying all over the place and puts it in one place. And I found out about it because we were standing in a beer and wine store, and somebody was tasting some beer, and she whips out this little notebook and starts to write in it. And what she was writing was a reminder that 3 weeks into the future, when they were going to release this seasonal beer, to go look it up and go out with one of her pals to go have beer. So she just put it into the right week, and then it would come up when she needed it. So it's a great way to bring things into the now at the right time so that you don't lose track of it. It's very empowering, really. So that's a bullet journal, and that's a great augment to some of these other things that I'm talking to. talking about.
Yeah. I've been hearing a lot of things about the bullet journal lately, and I have not researched it myself, but I think it's time for me to, start researching it and maybe start using it too, because from what I've heard, it's been very helpful for people with an ADHD brain.
Yeah, and there's different ways to do it. I think the best way actually to do it is in a written form, and rather than in an app of some sort. And you can create one of these yourself. You don't need special equipment or anything like that. You just need a notebook that has segments in it somehow, some kind of carryable notebook, small enough so you can carry it around, and then you can put your things in there. Again, I only use mine by the week because I have a regular calendar that I use, and it augments the calendar and tracks a lot of stuff I wouldn't write into the calendar. But it's really terrific, and it's how my daughter keeps her life organized now. It's really been a great tool for her.
Yeah, and when I first heard it, I thought it was a product, like the bullet journal, and then when I so you can buy like a $2, $5 notebook, and that becomes your bullet journal. So it's you're not going out spending $300 on a new gadget. So
right, and they have websites and things. Yeah, you can look up like different ways people journal. Some people are very creative, and I track goals in it as well, which is another good thing for people with ADHD. Is I track progress against things like, how many days a week I'm exercising, and I put a little bar in there, and I fill in as a little square of the bar every day that I exercise, so that I can get a visual of, I'm doing a lot of that, or no, that's looking a little blank right now, It just reminds me, nudges me.
Yeah, interesting. I'm thinking I'm going to have somebody come teach a class at ADD classes about the bullet journal, because I've been hearing great things. So, Melissa, you've given such great stuff today, and it's been so different than what you usually come on here and talk about. So, and it definitely affects relationships. And even if somebody's not in a relationship, I'm sure they are, a partnership, I'm sure they have challenges at work. So it's going to help so many people. Before we get going today, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to leave people with? And definitely give out your contact information, please.
Well, so I think from the standpoint of the work-life balance, which is an issue for relationships, there are things, people with ADHD, I think, often feel as if they are sort of following along. They're frantically trying to keep up. Some people, I think, worry about whether they'll be perceived as some kind of fraud or discovered or whatever. I think it can be an area of high tension for folks, particularly if they've had trouble holding on to jobs and things like that. So if you're in a job where organizational skills are really important, these are simple things that you can do that could make a very big difference and get you both improved efficiency, which translates into improved job security usually, and also be able to get home in time to be able to transition and spend time with your partner. So I'm pretty excited about this stuff. In fact, I'm going to write a blog post on it soon. So that should be up by the time this is on air and all that, which is great. And it is it's a really very good area for improvement of just making your life run more smoothly and be a little less stressed out. So people can find my now mobile-friendly website at www.adhdmarriage.com.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Melissa Orlov, and thank you, everyone, for taking the time to listen to ADHD Support Talk Radio. And be sure to stop by our new website at ADHDSupportTalk.com. Thanks again.